Greetings, today we'll be painting Ozew of Primal the Awakening. Starting this guy out with a backsplash of purple and then starting with the green in the front as it's mostly going to be a green creature, and so I want that aura started. Why did I choose purple in the back? Because of the concept art, it features that color. What I like to do with I do like when there's concept art, and I do like to follow concept art. If the concept art is a little weak on colors or the saturated, I make sure to oversaturate it in my head and push those colors on the model, especially if I'm looking for a higher level, more time consuming paint job. So like as far as this guy's head, it's kind of whitish, but I wanted a warm sort of undertone, hence I started with the orange. As for the wings, I wanted that sort of translucent, dirty look. You know, that swampish, kind of cloudy look of the wings. The green I started with here ultimately was already on the palette. Oftentimes I will start with something that's on the palette already if it matches sort of what I have in my head. If it doesn't work out, then I'll go with something else, but usually I'll make it work out or just will, as I'm gonna use that color anyway. So in this case, I did want to use that color, and then I applied a more saturated, different kind of green on top of that and kind of blended it out with that turquoise sort of green that was from the airbrush, and then top that off with this more lime green for the highlight spots and such, and definitely using it sort of conservatively, more on the edges, the spikes, little nubs and bits, and certainly not using it on the other side. As for going back to his head, I wanted to saturate it a bit as that was a strong orange color, and so I applied a tannish gray on top of that with another highlight of a lighter gray. And then I started on those eggs. I painted them purple and then applied a lighter purple on top, then dark purple spots in the back, and then shine brightest purple or almost white spots facing the top or more toward the front. I went back to those translucent side underwings and did some more edge work there to kind of sell that idea. Then I went to his horns where his lightning electric bolts are working through. That is this creature's power is electricity. I did those with a strong white and then highlighted with a yellow to disperse that. And then I went to work on the ground. I usually do that last with these guys. I added some kind of moss, swampish greens on there as well, as it appears the landscape has some of that, and then mostly just browns for the dirt. As for other coverings, I don't usually apply varnishes anywhere on the models, even for my game pieces lately, except for on the base edges and such. But here I wanted this guy a little bit more glossy, as it is an insect that does have a hard, somewhat shiny chitin on it. And so I actually applied a Vallejo matte varnish on his main areas, as even though it says matte, it is more glossy, so it leaves sort of a satin finish. So I guess if you're interested, pay attention to that finish at the end for the final turn. As far as for a high gloss, I did apply a high gloss to the eggs to sell those as extra wet and shiny, as well as his little eyes. And I believe his main abdomen part under his wings, I left that a bit more glossy, and also that little river, that stream running underneath him. And of course, again, the base edges. When it says matte varnish, don't believe it. It's rarely going to be more matte than your quality acrylic paints. As you can see here, you can clearly see how matte they are looking at the ground here. It's nice and flat looking and more dusty, which is perfect with this guy. While he looks a bit more satin, sort of eggshell shininess, and then there's parts like the eggs, I believe also his joints, those have a high gloss finish. And the high gloss is also Vallejo gloss varnish. I do actually have quite a matte varnish that I purchased in search of the mattest of varnishes, and it is one of the most mattest out there. It's certainly the mattest, the one that I have, and that is the one from Green Stuff World. So if you want a nice matte varnish to pull out your colors or original tones, I recommend it. But if you want the truest of your paint colors and such, don't apply a varnish. But as you may know, some paints are more glossy than others, or if you don't mix them up enough or such, so it's not a bad idea to apply such a matte varnish to a model with a mix of such shiny and non-shiny paint finishes, and it'll sort of balance out everything. And then wherever you want it to be more shiny, you can of course apply a gloss varnish on top of the already matte varnished areas. Hope you enjoyed this. I am playing through the game, hence you may be seeing more of these guys lately here.